Hey everybody, welcome back to Beyond the Trailer Park. And you may conspicuously notice that there's no intro again this week. I still haven't figured out what the problem is, so if there's anybody who's like excellent with voice meter out there, you might want to drop me a line because I don't fucking know what's going on. But anyway, mixing things up a little bit this week, Beth is actually out at a Christmas party, which is excellent for her. Sucky for us because, well, she's not here, which doesn't really happen very often. So instead, well, first of all, Morgan, though, is joining us from the wilds of Mississippi. Good evening, Miss Morgan.
Good evening.
And from the Atheists on High over in Colorado, and I don't think he means on top of a mountain, joining us is Skeptic Bret.
Hi, Deborah. How are you? Thanks for having me on.
Excellent. Oh, you're very welcome. And over from Atlanta, Georgia, we have Zach of Zachrilege Podcast. Good evening.
Hey, thanks for having me on.
You're very welcome.
Great. We're beyond the trailer park here in Atlanta. You know, we know what it's like.
You do.
We just set fire to things in Atlanta. We're a very flammable city, if you haven't noticed.
Yeah.
Very much so. Well, not as flammable as California, I'll give you that.
Yeah, didn't they name? They said they named it like Thomas. I felt bad for Thomas Smith. Like, oh, they named the fire after you. Sorry, dude.
It's not a threatening name, though.
No, I know they name storms and stuff and hurricanes, but the name of fire, okay.
I was gonna say, when did they ever name a forest fire?
Oh, they name forest fires. Oh, yeah.
They do?
We have them all the time here in Colorado that are, yeah, they're actually really, really bad. They just don't make the news very often because it's so commonplace.
Okay.
But, yeah, every fire has a name. Yep.
But they don't name it like stuff like Thomas, though, because it's like, I'm not going to be scared of a fire named Thomas.
Yeah, actually, they normally name it after the region is normally what they name it after. But so, I don't know. Is that the Thomas?
It's not like hurricanes where they pick out a bunch of names ahead of time for the year and then just start going through the list.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you're right. Like, honestly, like most people that I've known over years that were named Thomas would go by Tom. So when you say Thomas, I immediately think Thomas the Train, the children's book or the children's show with a big blue smiling train. Not very scary at all. Oh well. But speaking of scary, Morgan, I was over at the family Christmas yesterday, and I was telling my nieces all about Yule Cat.
Oh, nice, yes.
Oh yeah. If anybody didn't hear that last week, Morgan taught us about Yule Cat, that if you don't get somebody to give you new clothes for Christmas, the cat will come and eat you.
Mm-hmm.
I was listening to that actually today at work. I was listening to the most recent episode and learned all about Yule Cat, and I've never heard of that before in my entire life, but I think it's delightful. Morgan, weren't you saying that it's always a black cat? Is that?
I haven't seen it in being done any other color. Every time I've seen a depiction of it, it's always been black, typically.
Okay.
Different colored eyes, though. I'll see, like, sometimes it'll be yellow and scary, and sometimes it'll be, like, you know, more green, glowy eyes. But, yeah, I've typically seen, I've only seen it depicted as a black cat.
Yeah. Well, I Googled it during the show for images, and it was only black cat. Well, there were some that were line drawings that didn't have the cat colored in, so I don't know if it was just meant to be plain, like, I don't know if it was meant to be not black or white or what, but the majority of them were black, which I thought was great because I have a black cat and now she has a job on Christmas.
Terrorizing local children.
Yeah, there we go.
About cats, they don't like jobs.
Yeah, Zach has 2 black cats.
Mm-hmm. And they're very opposed to doing anything.
You should have named them Thoughts and Prayers.
There you go. Next set of cats.
Excellent. There you go. Because, you know, cats are about as useful as thoughts and prayers. Especially your 2 by the sounds of it.
But they're so cuddly.
They're adorable looking. I do want to snuggle them every time I see pictures. But
so they're more useful than thoughts and prayers in that way. At least you can cuddle them. And
this is true.
Well, so I hear that stuffed animals are also cuddly and soft, and they also don't do anything. So I don't understand. Sorry, am I the lone not cat person here? I might be. I might be.
Yes. Well, no. Morgan has a corgi, so
Oh, okay.
and a hedgehog. 2 hedgehogs.
2 hedgehogs, yes.
Yes.
Oh,
2
nice.
hedgehogs and a corgi. So she doesn't have
It's like a really bad Pixar film.
Yeah. 2 hedgehogs and a corgi.
They're running out of ideas. Don't put it past them. That might be coming
Every
out.
sequel.
If they pay me, I will sell all of the rights to Pixar Studios.
Well, I watch a show out of England. It's called QI, or Quite Interesting, but they usually go by QI.
That's the British name ever.
Yeah, well, it's sort of a pseudo quiz show, but it's not like it's all the contestants are all famous comedians for the most part, so it's not like a real game show. But they were talking about hairless animals on a show the other day, and they showed a picture of a of a hedgehog that had no quills.
I saw it. They look kind of horrifying.
They do. Like, I felt so sad for the little thing, but wow.
Yeah, I wonder if that's like declawing for a cat. Like, what do you have to do to dequill a porcupine?
I think it had a condition that they either fell out or it didn't have any.
Yeah, it probably what happened was what they do is they actually lose their baby quills.
Right.
So it may have been that they just never grew in their adult ones.
That could be.
So that could happen, or it could be it was born with it, like some weird genetic thing. But yeah, you'd have to keep that hedgehog really warm because they can accidentally go into hibernation if they get too cold. So that's why mine have these little sleeping bags, which are called snuggle sacks, so they can go inside when they get cool and snuggle up in there.
So yeah, the naked guy, I was thinking someone needed to make the poor little bugger a sweater or something.
Yeah, I'd need sweaters and cuteness.
I could knit hedgehogs, crochet hedgehog sweaters. I could do that. I used to make sweaters for our family cat.
Oh my god.
She hated, but her name was Princess, so I used to crochet them with like little crowns on the back.
Oh, jeez.
I was like 15. What do you expect?
I need a sweater for my little dog, so maybe I'll send you a message and some specs on him and see what you can knit up.
What kind of dog?
I don't know, a barking one. He's just kind of this little wiry mutt of a thing. I'm sure you've seen actually plenty of dogs like him. He looks like he's a mix maybe between like a rat terrier and a Yorkshire terrier. Kind of hard to say.
I'm picturing Seth Andrews' rat dog right now.
No, a little bit, but a little bit bigger. So he's almost 10 pounds, I would say.
Okay, that's not small dog to me.
Oh, that's very small dog to me.
Okay.
Yeah, my dream dog is my English Mastiff. So.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, a little bit of difference there.
I met a 4-month-old Mastiff puppy at a family barbecue this spring, and it was up to my thighs.
Yeah, and it was all feet and elbows, right?
Yes.
Just knocking over everything.
Yes, 4-month-old puppy, and it was bigger than most dogs I've ever been around.
Yep. Yeah, they're monsters. They're awfully big. Big sweethearts.
A horse. That's a horse that barks.
No problem with that. I don't want to install an alarm system, you see.
Ah, well, yeah, that'll do it.
I've got no problem with just leaving the dog in the house and nobody will come anywhere near it.
And it's probably a lot cheaper.
Oh, I don't know about that.
I was going to say, it depends on how much kibble the thing eats.
I think they eat a good bit. I'm pretty sure they do.
Oh well. So I've got my skull cat shirt. This is now becoming my Yule cat shirt.
Nice.
Yes.
I think the Yule cat would approve.
Yeah, because it's a skull made out of like 100 cats. So that's gonna be my Yule cat shirt from now, and I'll probably wear that on Christmas too. So yeah, next week we won't be doing a show because it'll be Christmas Day, and I will be hosting Heathen Christmas over here. So you'll have to deal with us next week, but that's okay. We'll come up with something more entertaining for the week after. But speaking of Christmas and all things holiday, we're just gonna have a casual talk tonight, and the fellas and are going to tell us anything. Bret said he had some stories from his life to do with holiday and Christmas and whatnot, and we could talk about how is it different from, if we used to believe. Well, first of all, actually, Bret, I don't think we've talked about that. Were you ever religious, and if so, what flavor?
Extremely religious.
Oh, you're one of those. I used to be.
Actually, very much so. Baptist-costal actually is exactly the word that I would use.
Just like Pastor Roy.
Exactly, just like Pastor Roy.
And that's how we got beyond the trailer park.
I know that, yeah. So that's
Yes.
kind of funny that. So when I first started listening to Atheists on Air and I heard the term Baptist-costal, I was like, oh, that's it. That's what I was. It's exactly right.
Awesome.
So I was raised in a Baptist church in Michigan that was very Pentecostal, very, in the spirit, speaking in tongues, hands healing, all that type of stuff, and was thoroughly bathed in it. I mean, just bought it hook, line, and sinker. And yeah, somewhere through my late teens and into my early 20s, just kind of got away from the house and started experiencing the world. And as is usually the case, the more you learn, the less religion has any room for you. So
Yep.
yeah, that was kind of it. Yeah, just kind of wound up down that road of, basically apathy more than anything else until I really started to dig into the research and trying to figure out what my beliefs were based on. And that was when the sweater started to unravel.
Yeah, that tends to happen, doesn't it?
Yeah. I've got to say it was very freeing, though, getting that sweater off. I found out that it wasn't that cold outside and I could live on my own just fine without the comforts of it. So,
Exactly.
yeah, I have not been any happier in my life than I have been once I completely rid myself of all of those, all the religious ideas and the laws and all that stuff in place for you through the scripture. I found myself a much more complete person.
Excellent. Excellent. And I'm trying to remember, Zach, you were religious. What flavor were you? I forget.
I was always flavorless, so I never
Right. That's right.
I never raised religious, although my parents kind of returned to the kind of
Right.
Catholic church later.
That's right. Now I'm remembering, because when you had your accident, they kind of went woo. And
yeah, the near-death experience
Jesus-y.
pushed me further away and them closer, kind of an opposite thing. Yeah.
Yeah. I remember that. Oh, goodness. So, as a non-religious person, was Christmas ever that important to you, Zach?
There's just lots of presents. I mean, that's really the thing. You get up, you open what seems like endless presents, and then after about an hour, you're like, oh yeah, let me play with that. I went to the Star Wars movie yesterday, and I'll say nothing about it and just say, when you're watching the movie, you're thinking, oh yeah, I remember the toys, the AT-AT Walker I got in like 1981 or whatever it was. And so it was that kind of thing. It was giant boxes and going, oh, what's in there? That kind of thing.
Yep. Okay. Oh, that's neat. And so, yeah, and your parents weren't that into it either. You never got sort of dragged to church on Christmas Eve or any of that crap.
No, never really went. I think my parents go to services now, but no, not me. Haven't been.
So I imagine you did lots of Christmas stuff, Bret.
Yeah, actually, I would say, kind of divorcing myself from the spiritual roots of Christmas that I was taught was actually one of the bigger challenges. Going forward as an adult, just kind of removing all that and saying, well, what's left? Turns out what's left is Christmas, pretty much all of it.
Yep. Funny that.
I just didn't realize that until I really tried.
So now, did you become an atheist before you were a dad or after you were dad?
Yeah, before I was a dad.
Okay, so you had some time to sort of figure out how you're going to approach that.
Yeah, I would say, I've been out about my atheism, I would say, for probably about 6 years now.
Right.
But I was an atheist for about 4 years before that.
Right.
That I was just quiet about it. Nobody knew. I mean, nobody knew. I really had no idea that there was an entire atheist world out there for me and that I would be okay. So yeah, I hit it for 4 years and then I've been out for 6. And my wife and I are just coming up on our 5th wedding anniversary.
Oh, congratulations.
And she already had kids from another marriage. So I just stepped into being a dad after I was already an atheist, which is, which the in-laws, as you can imagine, are completely thrilled about.
Here some wise ass atheist stepfather for our grandbaby. God damn it.
Right. I mean, as if the stepfather doesn't have a bad enough name already, then you throw heathen garbage into it, and they just okay. Hope the grandbaby survive him, you know.
So Morgan, you didn't have to spend Christmas at French camp, did you?
No, I did get to go home, but they did talk a lot, before Christmas. Obviously, it was a lot of emphasis on that whole religious aspect, and so I'm recalling now actually that there were some dorm parents. They were never my dorm parents, but there was this young couple, and they had like 3 kids already because of course, and she said that I'll never forget this. She said, "Oh yeah, well we're not doing presents for Christmas anymore for our kids. Instead, they have just like this lamb. It's like a stuffed animal lamb, and they talk about how Jesus is the Lamb of God that came to like save all of our sins underneath a tree, and that's pretty much all they do." And talk about Jesus, and I was just like, that is the worst fucking Christmas I could ever imagine, especially as a child. Like, what the hell is wrong with you people? But yeah, and usually I go to my grandmother's, and then they go to she's in a liberal church. They used to be Baptist, but they've been kicked out of every Baptist convention they've been a part of.
Oh, jeez.
So
for not being like
bigoted enough.
Yeah,
for not being a bigot enough. They got kicked out in the 60s for allowing black people to go there. They got kicked out in the 2000s for saying gay marriage was okay. And so they're also more of an Episcopalian-ish kind of church, but they're not in the formal Episcopalian structure. So I don't really mind going to that one as much. But yeah, they do that, and then we all just like I'll usually hang out at my aunt's and drink beer. So and the extent of it. And I'll get around and see
this plan.
Yeah, that's basically my Christmas plans for this year, so I'm excited.
There you go. Yeah, Brad, I don't know if you know, Morgan spent most of her childhood at a weird religious boarding school called French camp.
Wow.
I'm normal.
Wait, hold on. What do we mean most of your childhood? Like, was this kind of like every summer they sent me there, or did you seriously live in?
No, I lived there. It was like the closest analogy I can think of it is basically a compound, but you get to like go home every so often. And I did go there in the summer as well. So I would essentially have like 2 weeks for Christmas, and then I would have basically a 2-week summer. And then occasionally I would come home like once a month or a weekend, and that was pretty much it. For 3 years. It wasn't for most of my childhood, but it was for like my high school years.
That's a good chunk of time though when you're in your high school years.
Yeah, I graduated high school from there.
Oh geez. That's interesting. I did go to I went to a camp called Spiritual Warfare Camp.
Oh,
that sounds about right.
That is exactly as horrifying as it sounds.
Like Jesus camp.
Yeah, actually, that's usually when I try to reference people to what it was like. It's like, have you seen the movie Jesus Camp? They're like, oh God, say yeah, like that, but actually a little more intense.
Ooh.
Yeah, it was extremely radical, but
yeah.
Jesus Camp's for wimps.
Those are for heathens.
Yeah. So I'm at least familiar with what that setting looks like, but also, but being in it for 3 years, geez, I don't even know how you got out. Either that or it's why you got out. It's probably the two.
I think I often look back and I'm like, how the hell did I get out? Like it just doesn't make sense to me, but I think it is because I did go off and get an education, like an actual one. I mean, it's from the University of Mississippi, so that's debatable. Thomas Cecil on it was on Scathing Atheist. They were reviewing a movie for their God Awful Movies podcast, and a character in one of their movies says, "I'm the top of my class at Ole Miss Law School," and they all start making fun of Ole Miss Law and saying, "Oh, that's basically the same as what, Trump University?" And I'm just like,
exactly.
Jesus fucking Christ, guys, come on!
Oh.
I'm trying my fucking best, and so yeah, so I basically go to the equivalent of Trump University according to the Scathing Atheist crew. But yeah, so I think that me getting out and going to a secular college, I think that helped, having, friends, because I was always kind of a weirdo, even at that school, and so I just kind of hung out with more quirky people, so that I think opened my mind to more things. And then I'd always kind of doubted, so that was also there. But yeah, it was a process for sure, especially undoing all that damage and brainwashing and their toxic views on other aspects, not just believing in God, but as you can imagine, they were hardcore, like anti-woman, anti-this or that. But what really helped me kind of counter that was because my dad had always, told me, you can be anything you want to be. Don't let anybody tell you you can't do something because you're a woman.
Right. I want to be an atheist.
But yeah.
What wasn't what I meant, but
but so that, I think that did kind of help me kind of steel myself against that. But it is hard when you're being told every day that basically women can't do shit.
Well, you can have babies.
Yeah, I can have babies in marriage, but if I let a man see my ankle, then he will go to hell, and it's all my fault.
Well, I'm already going. Let's see those ankles. So
the second hour.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that's the second hour.
Everybody stand by. This is going to get crazy. Yeah, no, Morgan, it's funny that you say that about, all the bad ideas and everything that were kind of clanking around up there and how long it takes to get yourself away from that. And I've kind of noticed that in the atheist community is that we don't have a lot of forgiveness for people accidentally finding out there's still something bouncing around in their brain that they haven't addressed yet. I mean, honestly, and not things like terrible racism or anti-woman or anything for myself. I'm just saying every now and then there are little aspects of that are kind of left over in my head that I just didn't know were still there, and they'll show themselves, like they'll pop up in my head, be like, "If this is what you think." I'm like, "What the? No, that's not what I think. That's not who I am." So then I have to figure out what the root of it is and try to cut it out.
Yeah, like for a while I was still scared of demons. Because I remember always being terrified, even before I went to French camp, but, I was always terrified like a demon would like grab me from under my bed or like in a horror movie or something. So, yeah, and I wrote my thesis on witchcraft and demons. That doesn't make much sense. Anyway, yeah, it's, so it was a lot of that, but even still, after I became an atheist, I would, never let my foot hang off the end of a bed because obviously there's a demon under it or, something like that. And I was just like, why am I still doing this? And, just processing that and that kind of thing that, okay, well, there's not any like weird Satan guy running around anymore. So, or never was. So I can deal out with that.
So you get nervous if Ole Miss plays like Wake Forest or Duke, since they're like the Demon Deacons and the Blue Devils, or not so much?
I get nervous when Ole Miss plays anybody. So.
Oh yeah.
Oh no, that's kind of funny because my high school mascot, which was this backwoods Hicktown high school that had, maybe 600 kids on a good year. Our mascot was the Blue Devils.
Oh, I thought you were going to say the Wicker Man.
No. And the mascot itself was sort of a cherubic looking blue devil.
It's an angel devil.
Yeah, it kind of was. And it's weird because our school had like absolutely no religious affiliation or connotation whatsoever.
Well, it's a religious school. They're not going to be the devils.
No, that's true. But I mean, I don't know where they would have come up with that. I don't even know if that's still the mascot. I should ask somebody. Oh, I think my niece still goes there. I should ask. Because, it was one of those ones I remember maybe 10 years ago. There was a newspaper thing where people were bitching about it and trying to make them change it. And I'm like, oh, for fuck's sakes. Who cares if it's like this little blue cherubic devil thing that wasn't even scary looking in the least.
Yeah, at least it's not a racist mascot like
know,
we have
it's
a lot of in the South.
It's not, the Red Indians or some shit like that. The Redskins.
Yeah.
I don't even know how those guys got away with that for so long.
Because no one cared.
Because, okay, the Atlanta Braves, you can make a case either way that they're being racist, or it's like, well, they're just saying they're the Braves, like good Warriors or something. There's a gray area there a tiny bit, but...
Yeah, the Seminoles.
Yeah, but Redskins?
That's a racial slur. I've always been confused by that one, too.
When you've got skin in the title... It's not exactly unclear what you're going for.
Yeah, it's just white people were like, fuck you, and did it and didn't care what anybody thought back then and still don't, and they're the worst. And yeah, I think that they should be like the Red Hawks or something, and you can have a cool like tribal looking mascot. Like they've redone the I've seen where they've redone things like the Black Hawk mascots, that look really cool, and the Cleveland Indian mascot, like yeah, that that logo.
Yeah.
A bit intense.
It would be kind of interesting if they actually made him into an actual Indian, like from India.
Oh, yeah.
Like a Swami or something.
Yeah, because I went to high school in Kansas City, and then, of course, I moved to Atlanta. And they do the chop at the games.
Yeah, they do.
It just seemed weird. It was like this kind of cultural appropriation thing. And I still think, pretty much every Indian Native American mascot, it's like, I know at the Florida State, they have like a tribe that like they basically get paid tons of money, so they don't care. But
yeah, that's another thing that bothers me. It's like, we'll pay you to shut up. It's like, is that real?
Washington, that's what kind of prepared me for what's going on in the country now, is like people will defend anything. Washington fans get mad if you even like bring up, it's like the sports fan thing, which I know Morgan knows well, where you just kind of lose your sanity and they just can't hear that. And then they find these like cherry picked polls that say, no, they don't. I have this one guy, like I have a black friend. I have this one person I know thinks it's totally cool. And it's like, that doesn't mean no.
So many Native American friends.
Now it means I have a Jewish lawyer, right?
Yeah, I have a Jewish lawyer. Yeah.
Did you guys see? I was reading I think it was Friendly Atheist was saying that some of the press actually started to tried to find the Jewish lawyer, and no one can find the Jewish lawyer.
Yeah, there isn't one.
Yeah.
They've been looking not just present but past as well to find out, what kind of lawyers he's worked with before. He doesn't have any Jewish lawyers. He doesn't.
Which means they made that up, and it's a stereotype. They might as well say he's our accountant and movie producer and lawyer and banker, and he controls the media.
He's our doctor too.
Yeah, he's our doctor too, and
it's worse than if they had just said nothing.
I know.
And then the way she said Jew, like, like I was like, I just heard a cross light up behind her.
Yeah,
it just went. Like, even if there wasn't one on fire, like, it just hearing that Jew. And I was like, oh, God, just don't even say Jew. Just don't even say that. Like, it sounds offensive when you say
so, because people are like that, I've gotten so, like, even if it's the proper English in a sentence, I don't like to say, the Jew. I will prefer to say the Jewish person.
Yeah.
Because it just sounds so less harsh.
Yeah, but the way she said it, especially with her, like, I guess her hick-ass accent, and which, I have one, but still, like, I don't know. It's just something, the way she said it just had a lot of intention and hatred behind it that she just could not hide, and I was just...
It's like she was amplifying the accent on purpose.
Yes, and now I know why Eli Bosnick, when he was on No Religion Required, he thought it was kind of scary when Miss Ashley would say Jew. I heard her do that, and I said, "Oh, that is very fucking terrifying."
No, but it's so easy to fix. Instead of saying, oh, he's a Jew, because no matter how you say it, it could come off the wrong way. You could just say he's Jewish.
Yeah.
Done. You just don't. Just never take the ish off of it. Always keep the ish.
Yeah, like
ish, it never sounds bad. It's just a descriptor.
Like
it's
if
fine.
I mean, it's bad enough. He's like, well, one of our attorneys are Jewish. It's we're back to I have a black friend, but yeah.
Yeah, but not as bad as when they drop the
our
ish.
attorney's a Jew. Like,
Yeah,
wow.
I was like, oh baby, no, that's not how we say we're, not anti-Semitic.
now
It's
see,
like, maybe
my
don't be anti-Semitic in the first place, and we
Now-
won't do this.
my ex-Scientology friend Mark should be in the chat because remember we were talking about the Scientologists and the Jews, and he was like, I'm a Jew. I can confirm that we do control everything.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Mark, where are you?
Confirmed.
Yep. Wow. Oh, speaking of which, I watched the most bizarre thing the other day. Armin Navabi over at Atheist Republic, he's been really trying to expand their YouTube channel and get some interesting content over there. So he's been coming up with some interesting folks to interview. And one of which I watched the other day was a Buddhist Nazi from British Columbia.
Huh?
None of those words make sense together.
No.
Checking a lot of
I know.
porno boxes.
It's like you hit a random words in a jar and pulled them out and was like, we have a Buddhist. He's
Like
a
a
Nazi.
vegetarian
And from
barbecue
British Columbia.
And this guy actually taught Buddhism in places, and he was complaining that some school out in BC found out that he was a Nazi and fired him, and he was all upset because he shouldn't be fired for being a Nazi. And
Yeah. I mean, I would not be cool if I had children and they're like, our teacher loves Hitler. I'd say, oh, that's
and this guy, and seriously, that is not an exaggeration. This guy loves Hitler. Like he was going on
so
because
he's not even a Hitler apologist kind of.
no,
Nazis
he's a everything bad that you've ever heard about Hitler was a lie.
Oh, one of those.
Yes, and Hitler was a great man who did lots of things for Germany, and Hitler loved people, and all he wanted was to help people. And
Andrew Jackson did a lot of great things for America. I wouldn't call him a great man.
Yeah. Is he a Holocaust denier? Or is he?
Yes.
Okay, so he's a Holocaust denier. So he's not the Holocaust was justified.
No, he said, well, I'm sure some Jews were killed, but certainly not 6 million.
And if they did, they deserved it. Oh God.
Well, no, but see, he's Buddhist, so he doesn't believe in killing Jews.
That's why the Hitler stories have to be wrong.
That's right. Exactly.
Because he looked up to him, and if he's a killer like that, then it doesn't match up with his Buddhist ideals, and there you go. He can't be what you're saying.
So how is he a Nazi then? How does
he's national socialist?
Because Nazis aren't dangerous.
Oh,
wait, hold on. Don't take that out of context.
Yeah.
I'm not saying
I wrote that one down.
Right. Oh, we got the soundbite from this episode. Skeptic Bret.
Because they promote extermination and things like that. So how does?
Oh, I know, because he doesn't agree with that part. So some neo-Nazis don't really like him, but he considers himself he considers himself an old school Hitler National Socialist type deal.
Oh.
Old school.
But this guy, I listened to him. Armin talked to this guy for 2 hours and 45 minutes. And I had to stop after every hour because I was like, I can't listen anymore, stupid. Because this guy believed every conspiracy theory that you could think of.
Oh, I know one of those.
Fun. Those are fun because they conspiracy theory each other, and it's amazing because there'll be somebody that says the moon landing was fake, and the person that believes in all the conspiracy theories will say, "You believe in a moon?" Yeah. It's insane. It's the best.
Oh, it is.
It's like dealing with a pathological liar. How you can feed them information and they'll just make the lie more and more grand. The more questions that you ask, they just keep piling on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely do that with conspiracy theorists. They'll start coming up with theories about, toast being fake or something. They will find, doesn't matter what you ask, they've got a conspiracy for it.
Yep. Oh, so yeah, that was a mind bender and a half, I tell you.
Holy fuck.
Yeah. And he was doing
Is he
so
white?
yes, he's white, and
I was about to say,
yeah,
like you want another neo-Nazis don't like him.
he's okay with gay people, but he believes that gays have been exploited by the Jews. So Pride is a Jewish conspiracy to use gay people to take focus away from real issues, and same with trans people.
I
know. And you know what's funny? Armin is a very good debater, and he usually is really good with coming up with excellent points on the fly. He was doing that too he'd be like, it would take him like a minute and a half to come up with his next point.
It's like the water prophet.
Yes, the hydro prophet.
Hydro prophet, that was it.
Guys, I met a guy in one of the Facebook chats, and he goes by the name Owari Dorator, and he claimed to be a water prophet, and that water is God.
So I'm drinking God right now? Man.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Me too.
Well, it makes sense, right? Because water is in everything and around everything. Like,
and that was his rationale for such claims.
Oh, yes. Really? I just came up with that.
No, that's literally what he would say. You can't live without water. Water is God. I'm like, that doesn't fit the definition of God.
Right. And now but water is not actually the essence of everything. Like there are things with no water.
I'm pretty sure carbon is more important than water, as far as.
I mean, they have to be working together. We'll put it that way.
Okay. Yeah. Pretty damn important.
Yeah, but pretty damn important.
This guy, so Owari was the name, like the name he went by. Dorator was the planet that he said he came from, because he's also a lizard person.
Oh, I didn't know anyone actually admitted to being that.
Yeah.
I thought the whole point was that you don't admit you're a lizard person because you don't want people to know about the conspiracy. But yeah, that's just weird. It's like.
I guess at that point he didn't care. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with.
I haven't seen him post in a few months though. I wonder if he like dried up in a desert or something.
Went back to his planet, maybe.
Yeah, he went back to his planet.
He forgot how to change himself back into a human when he transformed into a lizard because of his lizard brain.
Forgot how to do it.
Oh, he's
now he's in Iguana somewhere.
He's couch surfing with the Buddhist Nazi.
Okay.
Buddhist Nazi. Next conference I go to, that might be the nameplate I pick, just Buddhist to see what the reaction would be.
And the guy even had a Hitler haircut. I was really surprised he didn't have the mustache.
That's probably can't grow one.
That could be.
So you just need a podcast crazy people Deb interacts with on social media.
I could probably do that.
Your circles are so different.
I haven't had anybody ask me for porn in a few months though, so I'm starting to get disappointed.
You want me to send a couple of mine your way? Because I've got people.
I got people.
I got people that will bug the hell out of you. Trust me, they're out there.
Oh, that's okay. Well, actually, though, the guy who said he was in love with me, he did message me like 3 weeks ago, but I ignored him. I was like, you're just stupid. I don't want to play with you anymore.
That's the guy that said that he needed help learning how to masturbate. Is that the?
No, this is the guy who.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's another one.
Okay. That was another one. I've had a couple of the teach me how to masturbate guys. No, this is the guy who's the Muslim who was sending me all this Islamic stuff. And then one day he just professed his undying love for me. And I'm like, I'm married. He's like, that's okay. You can keep him as long as I'm your second. And I'm like, that's not in Islam. I'm pretty sure it goes the other way around.
Right.
And he got mad because he posted something on my wall about how atheists are sexually immoral. And I was like, oh, says the guy who wants me to cheat on my husband and keep you as my boy toy. And he denied it. And I said, deny it again, and I will post the entire conversation.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And he did. So I did.
Nice.
And he blocked me. So I was like, okay, good riddance. Fuck you. And then, like, 3 months later, he unblocks me and starts messaging me as like, did you forget about me? I'm like, you blocked me, you dumb fuck. and he says, well, you posted that stuff. I said, yeah, and you lied, and I exposed your lie, and I told you I was going to do it. Case closed. And then he still tried to talk to me for like, oh gosh, it's been close to a year again. He keeps trying to talk to me, and I'm like, fuck off. Go away. I don't like to block people. I don't see a need for it. So I don't know.
I think Muhammad mentioned something about, watch out for Canadian women. I'm pretty sure.
Well,
he
not
predicted
so
stuff
far.
that never happened. So
not so far. Because I started reading the Quran last week for my new show. So that's a barrel of laughs, let me tell you.
I think I'm getting a Quran for Christmas, actually.
Nice.
Really?
Speaking of wackadoo theories,
Yes.
So late night Mississippi talk radio.
Oh, there's some fun right there.
Holy shit. So there was this guy who was tweeting about it, because I don't listen to it, but he was tweeting about it, and then he said there was a caller called in and said the reason the Navy ships are crashing into things more is because they're not teaching the Navy how to steer ships anymore. Instead, they're teaching them how to deal with the gays.
Oh.
So they're teaching them to accept the LGBTQ community. Therefore, they're not teaching them how to steer the ship. So they're crashing into stuff more.
Nope. That can't be right. The gays steer the ship. That's always the way that it's worked.
There's the agenda. You steer the ship.
Yep, gay agenda.
Huge gay agenda, which somehow maybe when they're in conflict, that's when there's the crash.
Oh, that could be when the Jews want them to do one thing.
Jewish gay agenda.
A Venn diagram of Jewish and gay people on marine. What are we talking? Baby ships. Okay.
Think about it. Come on, connect the dots.
I'm thinking about it, Zach. I'll get back to you.
I can't do Alex Jones. I can't make my face that red.
We've somehow gotten way far away from Christmas.
I don't know. I'm feeling awfully jolly right now.
Well, Brett, you said you had some Christmas stories.
Well, yeah, it depends on what flavor you want.
Oh, I don't care.
I'll start with a more recent one, and then I'll save maybe a little bit later in the show one of the more of my childhood. Let's see. This was easily, when I actually stopped going to church. I hadn't really found atheism or anything. I didn't realize that necessarily I was a non-believer, but it was kind of clanking around in there. And
he froze. Google, I hate
froze
you.
Him.
I hate you, Google. I really do. So
wow. The story just froze him.
It was the Jews didn't want us, the listeners.
They shut
it down. They're like,
So clearly, this is where the diagram intersects.
Yeah, they heard me talk about this Navy boats, and they're like, that guy.
That's where the overlap goes. When Brett tries to tell a Christmas story, that's when the conspiracy kicks in. And there he goes.
They're like, damn it, they found out about our conspiracy with the Navy, and we have to stop this right now.
See, I know I can't compete with Brett. I mean, I only have one really Christmas story that I can use, so,
That's okay.
You want me to fill in?
Oh, here he comes.
He comes back.
Saved. Oh, he's saved.
Did it work?
Are you there?
He's saved.
Yeah. We said, the conspiracy intersected. They found out.
No, I know. I could see and hear all of you, and for some reason,
net neutrality or something.
Yeah.
Well, let's start that again.
Okay. Yeah. So, it was a sister of mine that had come out to see us in Colorado, and we went to church with my parents on Christmas Eve because that's what they wanted to do. And that's what we were raised doing. And, whatever, I was in my 20s at this point. And we went there. You may have heard of it, New Life Church, Pastor Ted Haggard.
Oh, yes. Oh, shit.
The look on Morgan's face is priceless. Fucking what?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I was a member of New Life Church for like 5 years.
Damn.
Yeah.
Oh, you met that cretin.
I spent a lot of time with Ted Haggard. Yes. Yeah.
Oh,
Absolutely.
shit.
He never seemed that genuine to me, but whatever, different story for another
Funny
time.
that.
So we went to church with my parents. That's where they, whatever, they wanted to go to church. So we went there. And I think probably just what was most puzzling about it, you figure Christmas Eve service, this is supposed to be like they do the candle lighting service and they sing hymns together and blah, blah, blah. And everybody go and, worship baby Jesus and enjoy your presence tomorrow morning, class dismissed. Well, Ted Haggard, for some reason, took the entire time to talk about the evils of Halloween. And we were at a Christmas Eve service. We spent all that time talking about the evils of Halloween and
Halloween.
It's a holiday.
How does that even fucking compute? Like, was he watching The Nightmare Before Christmas or some shit?
No, he was talking about how it promotes homosexuality and evil behavior. I think he just had gay on the brain. So, like,
he was horny. Okay.
Yeah, I think he had seen his boyfriend recently. So when he went on stage, he was like, "I got to talk about this." Probably one of the more bizarre Christmas moments I've ever had in my life was going to a Christmas Eve service and hearing about Halloween. It's very, yeah.
Has he been to a gay Halloween party? They're the best.
He must have.
Okay. I thought that was a serious question for a minute, Morgan. I assure you he has been to a gay Halloween party.
Oh, yeah.
He has.
He was doing research. That's all.
Yes, exactly. I'm doing it for Jesus.
I'm doing it for Jesus. I'm not here to dance and have a good time and
right.
wear a slutty costume.
And bobbing for apples.
I can't even imagine seeing him in a slutty outfit. I can't.
A little French maid outfit, stiletto heels.
Oh, wait, change my mind. That actually sounds pretty hot.
That's like the worst idea. Slutty Ted Haggard. There's my Halloween cut.
Ted Haggard.
Slutty Ted Haggard.
Like one button. That's slutty.
And he's got his meth pipe with him.
Just a plastic bag hanging out of his back pocket. That's all. That's part of the costume. Yeah. Well, Ted Haggard is apparently back here in town. He was kind of forced out of town for a while.
Yes.
Back in town, and I think he started up another church. So,
with
any luck, I will be able to get some recording time with him. I'm actually working on doing that. I would love to sit down with him and see what the hell is going on in his head these days.
Because last I heard, they supposedly cured him.
Yeah, they prayed the gay away.
Yep.
Didn't really change much though, because he had lost everything at that point. His whole family just kind of collapsed around him. So I don't know how much he's still holding on to, but if I can find a way to get a couple of minutes of his time, I'd love to record.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, hey Ted, remember me? Used to hang out with your boys. Anyway, got an atheist podcast. Got an atheist podcast these days. Would love to ask you a few questions.
Oh shit.
I'm sure he would set the record straight.
Oh,
yeah. But
wah, wah. Damn it, Zach.
Yep. He's proud of himself.
Yes, he is.
See the light bulb over my head. Luckily, it's out of frame. So.
Yeah, they took away Google Effects, so we can't,
I know, I miss Google Effects. Yeah.
With the stupid monocle
and the gong sound that I have to. Oh, it's so sad. I need to get a gong. Patreon goals right there.
Like it.
Yes, support Zach so he can buy a gong. I actually have, I think, 2 little desktop ones downstairs, but I don't keep them up here. I just have my collection of penis water bottles. That's all.
That's all.
That's all. Yeah. Well, you've seen those, haven't you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I thought so.
Yeah, freak show.
This summer, because you seen the pink one. Well, this summer I went to Pride and I got a blue one and a yellow one. So I have the full set now. Brett
the full set.
Yes. Brett doesn't know what I'm talking about, does he?
I think you pulled one of them down last time we were actually all on.
Oh, yeah.
The Zachrilege Cast. Yep.
Yes.
Yep. Actually, I think that's the exact one that you pulled.
Mm-hmm.
That you notice is within arm's reach at all times.
It's actual size.
I wasn't going to say anything. I just let that one go.
There you go.
So is that going to be like your mascot on your Quran show?
No,
Oh,
I don't.
nice.
I actually, what I'm doing instead, I don't know if you guys know, but there's a ritual that Muslims are supposed to do before they pray and if they're going to touch the Quran. And it's called wudu. And it's it's like a ritual washing. I know. And the show, I'm like, let's do the wudu.
Well, it's right there. It's voodoo. Just
Yeah.
We'll call ours voodoo.
Yes.
It just sounds so ham-fisted.
Well, I think we're pronouncing it. I think we're pronouncing it wrong. Like I know my friend Armin calls it the wudu, so I'm probably butchering it, but that's okay. But it's like a ritual washing ceremony that you're supposed to do before you touch the Quran. And so in the second episode, I go into that a little bit and talk about what it is and how every sect thinks it should be done differently, which, you know, it's religion. Of course, they all think it's different. And but I said, there's no fucking way I'm going to do that before I touch the damn Quran every time. So my version of voodoo is I'm going to drink wine and cook bacon.
Mm.
So that's at the beginning of every show. I'm going to I say it's time to do the voodoo, and then we uncork a wine bottle and cook some bacon.
Very nice.
Thank you.
Well, I'm halfway there. I'm drinking some wine right now.
Excellent. There you go.
Anyone ever done the bacon wrapped deep fried Quran? I hear it's tasty.
Ooh, I bet it would be. Well, maybe when I'm done reading mine, I can try that.
From what I hear, it is the only way to consume the holy book.
There you go. Excellent. Yeah. Excellent. Maybe what I should do is make up bacon wrapped pigs in a blanket beforehand. And there goes.
I know you're aiming to get your own fatwa, right?
That's it. I know.
What you want for Christmas? We lose Morgan?
She'll be back.
Yeah. She's been having connection problems as well.
Yep. So cute. It's not really a religious based Christmas story, but one I always like to tell anyway. I am a night owl. And so even now I prefer to go to bed about 7:00 in the morning, and I get up at some time in the afternoon, depending on if I have to be somewhere or do something. I'll drag my ass out earlier, but you know. So even when I was a kid, I was always wanted to be up super late, and I always had trouble getting up in the morning, that kind of stuff. That's just how I'm wired. And so when I was a kid, getting me to stay in bed on Christmas Eve was bloody hard. At one point, I remember being like, I don't know, 7 or 8 years old, and I had gone to bed, and I woke up at midnight, and I don't know if it was because I had to go to the bathroom or something, but to me, so my parents were in bed. To me, I'm like, 8 years old. I've gone to bed. I've been asleep. I am now awake. It is now tomorrow. It is now Christmas. And that means I can open shit. So I get up at midnight and I'm rooting around in my stocking because we never had a fireplace. So Mom would just put our Santa stuff in a certain place near the tree or under the tree, whatever. So I'm out there picking out stuff from my stocking. And my mom gets up and is like, "What in the hell are you doing?" And I'm like, "What? It's tomorrow. It's Christmas, you know." And I get yelled at, and I'm like, "You can take one toy out of your stocking and go back to bed." So I got like a little Hot Wheels or something that was in my bag. So that was bad enough. That was like when I was 8 years old, and I was bad that way for many years to come. So when I was about, I think I was like 14 or 15. And it was me and my mom and I and my brother. My brother was 6 years younger than me. And it was only the three of us. So at that age, I knew Santa was bullshit. But my brother, I don't know that if he did or not, because he would have been about 9. So I don't know if he'd figured out Santa or not, but Mom would put the quote Santa gifts on each side of the sofa. And so she would prop our stocking up and whatever Santa presents. And my stuff was almost always on my left, and my brother's stuff was put on the right. So that year I woke up at like 5 o'clock in the morning or something ridiculous. It was dark out, and I was trying to be really quiet because I didn't want to wake up my mom and make her mad. And so I go out to the living room, and I didn't turn, like, I think the tree was still on, but I didn't turn on any lights or anything because I didn't want her to know I was awake. And I go out, and like I said, my presents were always on one side of the sofa and my brothers were on the other side. So I go over and I start opening up stuff. And it was some things that I was like, oh, that's interesting. Not what I would have expected, but it's okay. And one of them was like a tabletop hockey game, with the you
Yeah.
flip the little, yeah.
Little players.
And,
Awesome.
yeah, the little players, and you flip them around. And I mean, it's Canada. What are you going to get, And I remember, because I was like 14 or 15 years old, and I remember thinking, well, that's a bit strange, but I can get into this. It'd be fun to play with somebody. And I opened everything, and again, the whole time I was thinking, they're all a bit straight. Yeah, Morgan figured it out. So they're all a bit different, not what I would have expected, but nothing where I was like, what the fuck is this? So not long afterwards, like an hour or so later, my mom finally gets up, and I'm like playing with the hockey game, and my mom's like, what are you doing? I was like, what? I opened my presents. She's like, those are your brother's presents. It's like, oh shit. I had
It's like rewrap them.
No, I had like destroyed the paper. I had opened all of my brother's presents.
Oh.
And he was furious. Like I said, he was like 9 years old. He was and my mom was like, well, you can open her presents. He's like, I don't want to open her presents. Ah. So yeah, and my mom was like, did you not figure out those weren't for you? I was like, well, I thought they were a bit odd, but I wasn't gonna look the gift horse in the mouth, I guess. I don't know. I don't even remember what I got that year. I just remember the tabletop hockey game. Which wasn't even mine. Yeah. So, see, now, because everybody has a flashlight in their phone, that wouldn't happen because I could turn on my phone light and be like, oh, that stocking has my name on. But, 1980, whatever the fuck it was, that didn't happen. 1985 or some shit like that.
The good old days.
I know, the good old days when I had a Commodore 64.
Oh, the Commodore. Yes.
Atari. Yeah.
I loved my Commodore, man. I went through university on a Commodore 64. Morgan would have loved that because that was 64K of memory, Morgan. So
what you need.
That meant, so there was no hard drive per se. The memory was in the keyboard. And it could only hold 3 pages of text at a time. So when you were writing a term paper, you had to stop every 3 pages, save it to the floppy disk, and start over on 3 more fresh pages.
I think I still have some discs, so they're not the floppy ones, or the little hard ones. Yeah.
Oh no, I had the big.
I had some papers on that.
I had the big black actual floppy disks.
When I was in community college, there was a teacher who demanded that your paper be saved on floppy disks, and this was in 2012.
Damn!
And we were her older students were like, where the fuck are we gonna get floppy disks? Like, how are we going to do this?
And where are you going to find a computer that has a floppy disk slot?
Yes, like, because I had to recently. I had for work. The Wi-Fi signal, it sucks in my office at work, so I had to go and get one of those things off Amazon, an Ethernet adapter. So because I didn't have a port where you could plug it in on my laptop.
Right.
Go figure. And then when I get the adapter, there is a CD-ROM in it that I had to put in to install it, and my computer didn't have a CD-ROM thing either. And I was like, "What the fuck?" So thankfully, my boss had one of those things that you can plug into the USB and put the CD in. So I was able to use that. But still, I was like, "Jesus Christ, people, come on!" Like, ugh. I was like, no, my laptop doesn't hold CDs or floppies. Like,
and they still do faxes with letter of intent, right, in college football?
What?
Yeah.
Oh,
we do.
I was filling out some forms for medical insurance stuff the other day, and I was talking to somebody from the insurance company, and they were like, "Oh, so can you fill that out and fax it?" And I was like, I don't think I've faxed anything since the 90s, but I suppose I could look into it. They're like, "Oh, well, you could scan an email." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm thinking the scan an email is gonna win out here."
I think like on printers they still have the option to like scan and send stuff, but it's a little old.
Yeah, I think my printer would fax, but I'm like, I'm not gonna sit there and spend however knows how long it takes to figure that shit out. It's like, no, scan.
I remember my dad had a pager.
Yes.
I loved pagers.
I had friends with pagers. Those were always fun.
You know, I work in a screen printing shop. That's what I do for a living. I do T-shirts and all that stuff. We will actually fill. Sorry, you okay, Deborah?
Yes, I will live. You couldn't hear that though, right?
More penis water.
I was like, I'm pretty sure I muted myself there.
So, working in the screen printing shop, so people will send in their original artwork ideas and all of this stuff. And like, oh, I want that on one shirt. Like, no, we do at least a dozen. Anyway, side note, but they will actually send us artwork still through fax.
Oh, wow.
It's got to be one of the worst ideas ever, right? Because we build all of our artwork on computer. You know, everything's Illustrator and Photoshop, right? It's like that's how we build our separations for artwork. And people will still send us a fax of their artwork and then be confused when we're like, can you send that any other way at all possible? Like, can you take a picture of it with your cell phone and send us the text of the picture? Because that is honestly even better than the fax that you sent us. I just don't know why people even use that technology anymore.
Because none of your machines would, like, it would all take digital stuff now, wouldn't it? Like your machinery.
Well, actual screen printing is still. I mean, it's not digital. Screen printing is all still.
Okay.
The artwork itself, the way that the artwork is built, that they hand to me, and then I take care of the process from there, which is exposing the screens and actually building all of that is still actually almost 100% done by hand. So screen printing is very. It's still a very hands-on process. Yeah, there's no I don't just push a button and it just shoots ink onto a garment.
Okay. Okay. I was thinking it was like you might have to cut dies or something to do it, but I guess that would be awfully expensive.
Yeah, no, we create stencils on screens and then I line them all up right up against each other to make the image jump the way it's supposed to, and then start printing.
Fantastic.
Yeah. But anyway, all that aside, they still fax artwork. These fuckers. It's just, especially, and the ones who do it, by the way, are convinced that they're doing something super fancy by faxing it to us, and they want it done like the next day.
And
like, no, we have a 1 week turnaround. You can't have this tomorrow, especially not with a fax. Not a chance.
It's like no, you've actually earned the fax penalty. That means that you have to wait an extra week.
Yeah, actually they might, because sometimes sometimes it takes them too long to get back in touch with us, and they just wind up on a long waiting list at that point.
So Zach, you said you had a story. Now you got spared before, and now you have to tell it.
Yeah, I don't. It's like, oh, Christmas story, and then I was like, oh yeah. So the first time my parents met my in-laws, they came up for like Christmas Day, and my wife's grandmother actually stood up and sang "Happy Birthday" to Jesus.
Oh.
And everybody there was like, she's never done this before. She just sang "Happy Birthday" to Jesus, and then we had dinner. So.
Wow.
That makes it even funnier, but she had never done it before.
Well, I think that was kind of the beginning of Alzheimer's kind of was kicking in. So, but
I'm picturing a Talladega Nights type of moment here.
Everybody just kind of looked at each other and said, all right, let's go with it, Yeah, not was it the 8 pound, 6 ounce baby? Yeah, not that one.
No.
Yeah.
But that's a good one.
No, just same exact scene, but just singing "Happy Birthday, Baby Jesus" instead. Identical. It can all be exactly the same.
It's a good bonding moment. I think everybody is like, all right, we're in now. You're in the family now.
Oh shit, that's funny.
Fuck.
That's almost as good as my husband's aunt and uncle, because their 60th wedding anniversary was like 2 years ago. It was 2 years, and it was not long after Christmas, and they did it. There are all these speeches about when they were young, and of course they met at church choir and all this shit. And my husband's uncle, whose name is Adolf, got up. Yep, Uncle Adolf.
Got Buddhist who wants to meet.
No, he's not Buddhist for sure.
Well, I meant the Buddhist hit that. Call back. Come on.
Uncle
Come
Adolf.
on, Deborah. This is how comedy works. Tell her, Zach.
Oh fuck! You're making me mess up my story, dude. But
I'm muting myself. Go.
I was yelling at Zach actually, but Uncle Adolf gets up to tell the story about when he met his wife and all this stuff, and he goes on about how when they were deciding that they were going to get married, that they didn't want just a normal average wedding marriage. No, because they knew that in order to have a real marriage, you have to have Jesus in your marriage, and talked about, yeah, inviting Jesus to join their marriage. And the whole time I'm just like picturing Menage and Jesus. I was like, oh, gross.
There was a couple at French camp that said that they prayed every time before they had sex.
Ew. Yeah, like, that's hot stuff right there.
Is that what they mean by Holy Trinity, or
I don't know. And I was like, what do you pray for? And I was like, oh, I don't want to know.
No, you don't want to know what they pray for. Absolutely not. A clean getaway.
Different things.
I don't know.
They're praying that the rhythm method works. I don't know.
I don't know. I was not interested in inquiring any further.
That is where you and I differ. I would have had a lot of questions.
Yeah, no. Well, I wasn't in this class, but several people that had taken the class of this guy, he taught New Testament Bible, and yeah, they came in. They told me, like, I heard this from like 12 people, so it's legit, but in different varying grades and years as they've had him. But yeah, I was like, even when I was a like hardcore Christian at the time, I remember thinking even then, I was like, okay, that's fucking weird. Like, I never went that far off the deep end.
Well, maybe they were playing Father Patty and the Naughty Nun. Something like that. Oh, fuck. That's brutal. I'm
sorry, Deborah. Did we ruin your story?
No, it's fine.
Okay.
Boys ruin everything.
It's all right. It's all right. But Brett, didn't you say you had another story?
Yeah, I do. This one's actually with the same sister. So I have a lot of Christmas memories with that. I have 4 sisters, but this one in particular, for some reason, we have a lot of these weird memories. So, yeah, I'm pretty young at this point, probably, I don't know, maybe 12, 13 years old, probably about 12. And we had just gotten a new house, kind of moved out of town a little bit, kind of like an old, maybe a Dutch colonial style, a little bit of Victorian influence, like big old house kind of away from town a little bit. And this must have been the very first Christmas there. It had to be. And my father was very excited because we had a fireplace. So we had all the stockings up over the fireplace and all that. Very exciting. Now, my dad, I mean, he was born in the 50s, so he's got to know how a fireplace works, right? I mean,
you'd think.
You'd think, or at least the things to check for at the very least. And I thought he was a genius when I was a kid. I know way better than that now, but when I was a kid, he definitely thought he was a genius. So he's in there, he opened up the flue and he got the fire going. And it's Christmas, like we've got a fire going in the fireplace, which is really cool. And we're partway into opening up presents, and we hear kind of a thump in the fireplace. And turn around, and that's when we see a partially on fire squirrel that is desperately hanging onto the inside of the screen that covers up the fireplace.
Oh.
Well, my sister Melody, again, this is the same sister that I did the whole New Life thing with. We were like, what the fuck is going on here? that same sister yells, "He's burning," and opens the screen and let a flaming squirrel into the house.
Oh.
Now, I will say, so squirrels don't burn like torches. They don't stay lit very long, but they do smoke for a while.
Yeah.
So, obviously, hilarity ensues. This is very National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation.
Yes.
In Christmas Vacation, the squirrel wasn't on fire at some point. In this case, it was. So, actually, National Lampoon and crank it up to 11.
It was combining the cat and the squirrel.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, kind of a little bit of both of those. Yes. So he didn't stay on fire for very long. He got out of there and was almost instantly out. So there was just kind of a smoked squirrel smell in the house while we tried to corner this thing and get it out. We did finally get it out of the house, which was great. We were allowed to continue on with Christmas, although slightly traumatized, wondering what else was coming down the chimney anytime soon. And we thought nothing of it for a while until that next summer when I was out rebuilding the garage roof with my father, and we saw a particular squirrel that was sitting up in the tree kind of eyeballing us that had absolutely no fur at all on the back of its back and halfway up its tail. And we are 100% certain that it is, in fact, the exact same squirrel. You could just kind of tell looking at him like something lit that squirrel on fire. Yep. Oh, shit. That's that squirrel. So, yeah, so we kept track of him for a number of years that my dad and I would see him out in the yard. And my dad's so creative, he named him Smokey. Yeah. So that's
hey, look, Ma, there's Smokey the squirrel.
Hey, Ma, Smokey's out here. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we were that family. So, yeah, that's the Smokey.
We didn't eat him.
No, we didn't eat him.
Yeah, smoked squirrel sounds like a stereotypical like Southern delicacy.
Yeah,
roadkill.
Until you've tried it now.
Right. Don't dog it. Don't dog it now.
Take your time.
So I've told a number of people that story, and they are pretty frequently convinced that I am making that up. They're like, you've got to be making that up. It's out of National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. You just made it on fire. I'm like, no, this really happened. And yeah, there are a number of people you can ask that can corroborate that story as well.
I come from a long line of rednecks. That's totally plausible. Well, it's not Christmas related, but my daddy was a trapper, and I grew up with the inverted pelts of muskrats on the heat registers all over my house when I was a child. So yeah, that was fun. And there we go. Fellas, I don't think you have met our friend Atheist Ranger.
I believe so.
Hey, Ranger is more of a YouTuber. He's got his own channel, but we have Bret and Zach. And Bret does Atheists on High, and Zach does the Zachrilege Cast.
Oh, nice to meet you both.
Welcome
Yeah.
aboard.
Yeah,
I was
Ranger
in the
was
chat.
hanging around. Yeah, he was hanging around the chat, and I says, get your ass in here.
Yeah, I was commenting on I think Zach's story. I said in the chat, I said maybe that squirrel didn't believe in squirrel Jesus.
Yeah. That squirrel's part of the war on Christmas.
Yeah.
Just trying to make baby Jesus cry. That's all he's doing.
So that was that was actually me there, Atheist Ranger. This is Skeptic Bret.
No
So at least
problem.
so you have a voice to connect to the name.
Oh, that's good.
There we go. So Ranger, you got any interesting Christmas stories?
I wish I did, man, but at least none like that. But I just have good memories of Christmas. My parents always made sure my brother and I had a wonderful Christmas.
That's
Except the only funny thing that's ever happened during Christmas is that my mother and I once got my dad the same gift, and we didn't know.
That's always a pain.
Yeah, we got him, I think, 2 Pittsburgh Steelers slippers.
Oops.
So we had 2 pairs of the same slippers.
Well, if one wears out, he has an extra pair.
That's right.
That's what I said.
I just remembered one. I think this may have happened during Thanksgiving, but it was just one of those funny things that happens at the dinner table that you just can't help but laugh at. So we're at my grandmother's, and this is my stepmother's grandmother, and she's talking to my my grandfather, and they're talking about the same people they knew back in the day in Jackson, Mississippi, and the back in the 20s and all that stuff during when everything was still dry and all that down there. But so they're talking about that, and then they're talking about this bootlegger that he was running casino. He was did gambling, did the casino thing, every kind of like shady 1920s gangster kind of thing you can imagine. Like, this guy did it. And she says, if you looked at him wrong, he'd shoot you dead, but he had a heart of gold. And me and my dad had to leave the table, and we were just both outside laughing and laughing and laughing. And he was like, he'd shoot you dead if he looked at you wrong, Morgan, but he had a heart of gold. We were just like, what is happening with that? Like,
wow.
Heart of gold right there.
Maybe was it Hitler? Maybe it was
No,
Hitler.
it was from like 1920s.
That's what I was going to say. Maybe it was Jew gold, and that's why he was.
Yeah, Hitler was around in the 20s doing stuff.
Yeah, could have been. Sorry, Jewish gold. That's what I meant to say.
Jewish. Heart of Jewish
Oh.
It's nice to know that if I ever get murdered, the guy murdering me will regret it, or has a heart of gold.
Yeah, I know. Why don't you go into the victims' families? Like, I know he shot your father, but man, he was a nice guy.
Exactly.
Did it out of the goodness of his heart, is what he did.
Yeah. Basically.
Oh man. I have 2 little nieces. They're 9 and 8 right now, but this was about 3 years ago, so they were 6 and 5. And the youngest one, she is very much a tomboy. She wants nothing to do with girly things. She's all about machinery and guns and that kind of stuff. And so, but because her and her sister are so close in age, my mother often does the grandma thing and buy them like the same stuff all the time. It's that idea that if you don't get them the same thing, they're gonna fight and all that shit and whatever. So that year, those it's like a bust of a Barbie doll that you can style her hair and stuff. The guys are like looking at me like I'm speaking
blank. I got nothing.
Wait, what is this?
It's like a bust of a Barbie doll, but it's like human size. Yeah, so you can like style.
One of my
her
friends
hair.
had one back in Atlanta when I was little.
Yeah. Yeah, and you can like put makeup and shit on her if you want. It's like you're in a salon.
Its hair, is this like a Play-Doh Fun Factory thing? You just push down on
No,
the shoulders and it all comes out, or is it a?
It's like wig hair.
Well, what happens if you?
You can't. You're not supposed to cut it. You're supposed to like braid it and.
Oh, I don't know. What fun is in that? Okay.
So my mother bought
that toy the first day. The very first day.
Well, just so you know, I had a gem doll when I was like 12, and I cut her bangs and then regretted it afterwards. I was like, wait a minute, she doesn't look good like this, damn it. But anyways.
I have 5 sisters. I have no idea what you're talking about. No idea.
Oh, hey, Nicola. Nicola says they don't have Squirrel Jesus. It's a court of Squirrel Kings.
Okay. I forgot the squirrel world is a monarchy. I completely forgot.
There you go. So anyway, my mom buys both of my nieces one of these, like, it's like a model you would use in hairstyling school, that kind of thing. Buys one of these each for my nieces. And it was a pretty big one. They're both petite little girls, so this thing was pretty big. And the younger niece, as I said, she is not into the girly stuff at all. And she would have been about 5 at the time. And so there's this big box with this thing, and she looks at it, and she's staring at it. And my mom comes over, and she says, "Oh, what do you think, sweetie?" And she goes, "Nana, I don't like it." And she says, "Well, what do you mean?" "Well, maybe you should open it and have a look at it and give it a try." She's like, "No, Nana, I don't like it." She's like, "Well, what, you haven't even given it a chance yet." She says, "Nana, I don't want this. Take it back. I want a shotgun."
I would have actually wished she wanted that.
It was the cutest thing ever, though. I was
apparently Texan.
I know. I was rolling around on on the sofa, just killing myself laughing.
My little brother. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, with Edward behavior, I would have asked her where she wanted that shotgun at.
Yeah. Well, apparently she did get a toy shotgun from somebody else that year, so she did get what she wanted. So this year we bought her a wind-up clockwork tractor, and she was thrilled. So. Oh.
My brother was opening a gift, and it was for my stepmom's brother, who was a really, really, really big guy, like really big. And he's like, 6 at the time. He opens it up, and we had gotten him like a polo button-down shirt, and he's unraveling the long sleeves and all this, and then he just goes and he looks up and says, "Thank you, I'll grow into it." And we realized that we'd mixed up the labels, but still his reaction was amazing. He's like, "Thank you, I'll grow into it." It's like, I don't think you will, bud, but
well, were you guys like me when I was a kid? If somebody gave me clothes, I was like completely disgusted by that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like if I picked
I was
up
quick.
the box,
I was quick to uptake on that one. I'm still disgusted if I get clothes for Christmas.
You pick it up and you shake it, and it doesn't make any noise. You're like, "Oh, it's fucking."
Like I can buy clothes with my own money. I don't need clothes.
Yeah, buy me something like that I wouldn't have thought of, or that that's frivolous. Christmas is for buying frivolous things.
I'll be happy with like a DVD I want.
Yeah, there you go. Exactly.
See, I like clothes.
I don't know. Like my nieces and nephews are weird because they all love getting clothes. Like even the little ones. They're like, "Oh, look, Nana bought me pajamas." I would have been so mad at whoever bought me pajamas for Christmas. I seriously, when I was younger and throwing a temper tantrum was still kind of a thing, I would like take the box and throw it and be like, "Nah."
As long as it's the right size, because if it's the wrong size, then it's like, "Thanks for giving me an errand and having to exchange this. You want me to pick up the dry cleaning while I'm out? Like, you want me to go? What do you need from Walmart?"
Right?
Yeah.
That's the rule. You get the clothes, you also get the receipt. Yeah. And get in line with everybody.
Yeah, better be getting the receipt. No,
I wish you could get a lottery ticket, like those commercials.
Right. No, I'll just take the money back, please. I'm just going to go buy lottery tickets with this. Well, yeah, and that's the thing about it's not that I hate getting clothes. That's fine. It's just they're going to have to consult me first before they buy anything.
Yes.
And then at that point, I'm just instructing someone what to get for me, like identical, like make sure it's exactly that or I don't want it. And then it doesn't feel like a gift anymore. So don't surprise me with clothes, because the thing is, like, I'm a t-shirt and jeans guy. I've been a t-shirt and jeans guy for a long time. I live in Colorado. I wear boots. That's what I wear. And people are always like, oh, let's help him style up a little bit. I'm sure he would like one of these. No, I won't. I won't like it. I don't care what it is.
Trying on clothes.
Yeah. I am either t-shirt and jeans or full three-piece suit. I mean, like dressed to the nines with, like, you know, with the cufflinks and the pocket watch and all that. I either wear that or t-shirt and jeans. I guarantee you can't afford the suit. So don't get me anything in between. Just don't do it. I don't want it. I'm not interested.
I'm the same way. I look like a hobo, or I look like I'm going to see the Queen or something. Like that's how that goes. I remember at bar review, which is what we call, you know, we're not actually studying for bar exam. We go to a bar. It's what the law students do. And I remember I arrived the first one this year and I was just wearing like shorts and a t-shirt and everybody else was dressed up, and usually it's the opposite. And I was just like, damn it. And then I never went to another one this semester.
I'm too embarrassed.
That's not why. It's just like, I wouldn't feel like it. And I'd be like, I don't have money. How do you have money to do this?
Hey, it's better than dressing like a lumberjack lesbian like I always do.
I used to do that too, as well. So yeah, people just be like, "Why are you dressing like
nice pajamas to Kroger this weekend? Come on,
nice,
no holes."
Sweet. Now I've got sort of like super comfy around the house kind of clothes, and I have worn those because I mentioned we have a massage therapy clinic across the street. I am a client over there. Why wouldn't you? Right across the street. So when I go over there, I will sometimes wear my like schlepping around the house type clothes, but yeah, I don't think I could bring myself to wear pajama pants out in public beyond that. I don't know. If I was still on the farm, maybe, because, you know, the cows don't give a fuck what you're wearing.
I go outside in my pajama pants whenever I'm like taking my dog out and stuff, and I'm pretty sure I look like I just escaped from a loony bin somewhere. But
well, walking the dog though is an acceptable. I would say walking the dog is an acceptable time to wear pajama pants.
Yeah,
because
and
most people, I would imagine, are understanding that you probably don't want to be out there, but you'd rather that than pick up, you know, crap off your floor.
Yeah, and it's just around the apartment complex, but still, like, everybody else will be, you know, dressed somewhat nice. And since I work remote, I'm just like, hey, I work from home in my pajamas. It's like,
you know what, though? I bet they wish they could work from home in their pajamas.
oh yeah, and it's Christmas season, so I get to work from home in my pajamas until we open back up and during the spring semester. So super happy about that.
Sweet. That's awesome. So how's things over there in New England, Ranger?
Snowy. Very snowy.
Yeah, you can keep it. We have enough.
Yeah, well, doesn't help that I'm in I'm in obviously Patriots Nation, and oh man, I've heard so much crap about that. I don't know if we have any NFL fans in here, but about that catch yesterday against Pittsburgh.
Oh yeah, I've heard a lot about that one too. I've seen Twitter is
Steelers fan in New England. That's a rough one.
I'm sorry. What were they catching? Snowballs?
No, no, but it's funny. Like Christmas in Vermont, I don't know why, but they play so many lottery ticket commercials on the radio, and it just gets me thinking. Like, if anyone were to give me a lottery ticket for a fucking Christmas present, I don't care who you are, you're getting punched in the face.
What if it wins, though? Then you'd feel like a dick.
I know. Oh, true. Yeah.
Well, then you can pay for their nose job.
Yeah, there you go.
I think you'd have to.
I think so, yeah.
The law can confirm.
Oh, shit. So have you guys got any big plans for holidays?
Oh, God, I hope not.
I might have to work. unfortunately. Yeah.
Boom. Actually, I do have some interesting plans for this holiday. The same sister that I've mentioned a couple of times now.
Yes.
That I've also, I could go on the entire show of stories that I have with this particular sister on Christmas. It's ridiculous. She is coming out to visit myself and the wife and the kids, and it's going to be staying with us for about a week and a half.
So you're going to warn all of the neighborhood squirrels to stay away, right?
I'm just going to warn that anything around all of it to stay away. Because every time she shows up, there's something that's going to happen for sure. You put her and I together, and it's a recipe for disaster, but fun. Nice, fun disaster.
That's good.
So, so she's coming out, which means next year when we do the show, I'm going to have another story for you.
All right.
I guarantee you I will have another story. Hopefully this one also doesn't involve anyone being injured. So far we've gotten off pretty clean. No one's been hurt. So, yep, that's the big plan this holiday season. Just hanging out with my sister and the wife and kids, and just drinking as much as I can. I've got 5 days off work, I think. So
excellent. I'm hosting Heathen Christmas at the house here. So I'm having some of the local heathen folk come over. I like to, some folks don't have anybody else to go to, and some people aren't really talking to their families anymore and that kind of stuff. So I like to have somewhere everybody can come, and we're going to play Cards Against Humanity and drink.
Nice.
Nice.
Sounds like a better Christmas.
Yep, for sure. We may watch Batman and Jesus too. We'll see how people feel like, because I got myself a copy of that. That was one of the good things that came out of the shit show in Milwaukee.
Oh God. What a time.
I know. It's like, I was there in Milwaukee when the Sargon came forth and spewed his filth.
Oh, I didn't know Sargon was there.
Oh, fuck. That was the whole problem. That
you
was
missed that?
That was the whole shit show.
Oh, apparently I have. I didn't hear anything about it.
Oh,
wow.
dude.
I don't even know how you missed that. I'm actually really
He works a lot.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah,
Seriously.
apparently. Jesus.
Yeah.
That was all that was on my news feed. I remember it was just the whole Sargon stuff, and I remember like watching the video, and I was just like, "What the freaking hell?" and being so glad I did not go.
Yeah.
I've never actually been to an atheist convention.
We'll have to fix that.
I know.
Go to one of the good ones. Don't go to Mythicist Milwaukee.
Milwaukee.
We probably have fucking Pat Robertson next year.
Oh.
Actually, that would be awesome. I would pay to see Pat Robertson. I really would.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Oh man, I would ask him
podcast live.
I'd be like, can you describe one of those like gay AIDS giving pointy rings so I know if I see one?
Or like ask him what stars are when he goes, they're big gaseous balls.
I'm sure his balls hang down to his knees by now.
I'm pretty sure they've weekend at Bernie's to him already. Like,
exactly.
The money's just too good to give up. It's like you can't say that he's dead, so we just gotta.
He's been taxidermied and animated. Like,
yeah, for sure.
like the presidents at the Walt Disney thing, that the ones that talk.
Oh yeah, they. I don't know if this is at some kind of Hall of Presidents. I don't know if it was at.
Yeah, I've heard of that.
Something, but it was at some kind of presidential thing where they do, and Trump's like animatronic thing is fucking hilarious looking.
They've made it already.
Yeah, well, I don't know if it's at the Walt Disney one, but it's at some kind of presidential exhibit because they have them somewhere sometimes in other towns. Like I saw in South Dakota where they had something like that, but yeah, it looks absolutely insane. Which it was pretty funny.
I heard this could be like an onion kind of thing. I don't know, but I had read somewhere that when they do the one for Hall of Presidents, that they're actually were going to take away all of the speaking animatronics from all the other ones just so they don't have to make him talk.
Oh, I hope so.
But that could be like a onion kind of thing. I don't know. I just remember reading that somewhere.
No, Deborah, I'm not going to lie to you. That sounds it sounds possible. I don't know.
I actually
and truth have started blending together.
I know. It's terrible. It's like
they'll be like, "Why don't they talk anymore?" And I'll be like, "That one." I'll be like,
"Yeah,
that one right there,
bigly huge."
Yeah, bigly huge.
It's because by the time that one went up, they banned all the words. So
yep. Yeah, that too. Fuck.
Yeah.
How the hell do you ban words? What the
2-bit fascist dictator? That's
yeah.
To do it.
It's freedom.
Like, you don't have to do programs that actually help those people and that are based on evidence for their budget, so they can get all their money and funding from Congress.
She said evidence reporter.
Oh, I know. It's my Twitter name, actually. It's Morgan Evidence-Based Stringer now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Really change it?
Yeah, it's in my it's not in my name. That's still Mostring, but in my bio, it's Morgan Evidence-Based Stringer.
That is fantastic.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Somebody in the chat's like, "What's the topic?" I'm like, well.
We have a topic?
Topic? Where we're going, we don't need to. All right, never mind. You know the rest of it.
Listener, throw out a topic.
Yeah. Well, we got 20 minutes left, you know.
Okay.
Well, the last few weeks we've been very focused and had some pretty cerebral topics. So
yeah,
like the holidays are almost here, and my family's weird. They decide to do Christmas at lunch. And this year, now my mom has had like a thing on Christmas Eve for the last several years. This year, because people didn't want to go that day or couldn't or whatever, we had it yesterday. and then that's just like for my stepsisters and my nieces and nephew and that. So just like the small by her side of the family, we had it the weekend before that. But it's even weirder because now you folks, you already think we're weird because we have Thanksgiving in October. But my aunt, who has been the one to host Thanksgiving for the last, I don't know, 25 years or some shit, has recently in the last couple of years decided that because everybody's always busy at Thanksgiving, she's going to have Thanksgiving in August. So
you Canadians in your weird tradition.
Wow.
I know. So my family has Thanksgiving in August, and Christmas could happen at any weekend day in December that they ran.
Oh, in December. I thought you were saying any
Was it
weekend.
a different day?
Yeah.
Or am I confused?
Thanksgiving's usually the first Sunday of October. Yeah, but this year it was August, and I was busy, so I couldn't go, which is ironic because the whole reason that she had it in August was because too many people couldn't go at the normal time. So I don't know.
It's supposed to actually snow in Mississippi on Christmas. And while most people get excited, usually it's wet, gross snow. And I'm just like, I'm over this. And then everybody runs to the grocery store and they flip out and they're like, close all businesses and schools. And everyone goes and buys bread and milk. And which I've always been confused about those two items because I'm always thinking, are y'all making a bread pudding? Like, what is going on? Why bread and milk?
Canned goods. Shouldn't you be getting canned goods? I mean, if you're really that worried. I don't know. It doesn't make any sense to me either.
Yeah, but I mean, to be fair, it's not. It's like that we're not used to it. Like people are always like, "Oh, Mississippians freak out when it's snowy weather," and it's like, yeah, because we don't have it, and we also don't have snow tires because there's no need.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm kind of courting disaster by putting all season tires on my car, but I don't drive that much, so it's not a big deal. Most people put winter tires here.
Yeah, I would imagine.
People have cars.
Yeah.
Well, the climate's all kinds of fucked up. I mean, here in Colorado, right? So I'm at almost 7,000 feet right now where I'm sitting.
Damn.
And we've been in the 60s. That's
like almost shorts weather.
And it's colder in here. It's colder here in Mississippi than that.
Yeah, it's colder in Mississippi than it is at 7,000 feet altitude, Colorado.
That's fucked up.
What was it? Texas got snow and Atlanta got snow, right, Zach? Didn't you guys get snow?
Yeah, we had a pretty good. I mean, the only downside was on a weekend, but yeah, we didn't quite have the freak out we've had with previous snows. But yeah, pretty much. I think everybody was already. I went to the store as it was snowing, and there was like nobody there. I was kind of surprised. Usually, they do sell the stores out, and it's like,
oh my god, it's snowpocalypse.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the thing around here. We expect this crazy amount of snow, or at least we hope for it. At the very least, it should, maybe drop a couple of feet. But Colorado's this really weird. Right on the Front Range, we'll get 2 feet of snow, and literally the next day it will be 75 degrees, and it will all melt instantly because it's, closer to the sun and less atmosphere and all that. But so far we haven't had that at all. We had a little bit of a dusting once, and other than that, we've been hitting 50s and 60s. So it's pretty messed up.
In Vermont, I was going to say in Vermont, it usually starts snowing around October.
Yeah.
And it doesn't stop. And it usually doesn't stop till like April.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
Well, we have a Bobby Lieberman in the chat who says it's snowing in Prague. Hello to Prague.
Well, tell him that's my dream city. I have said for a lot of years that if I could go to any one city, just a one-time place to go, it's Prague.
Prague is pretty historically significant.
It is. That's where my family hails from as well.
Oh, very cool.
Out there. But apparently I have distant family out there somewhere that still know us one way or another, so I could show up out there and maybe get a decent tour of the area.
And Beth just made it home. Look at that. Oh, Bobby says it's amazing in Prague.
Perfect.
I bet it is.
All right. Well, I'll look him up as soon as I head that way then.
Excellent.
Next conference, Prague. Let's do it.
All right. Who's paying? Oh, man.
Prague or Mississippi, right?
Yeah.
There might be a Prague, Mississippi, like y'all joke, but I know there's an alligator, a Coffeeville, a sun, moon.
What? Coffeeville?
Bogachita.
What the fuck is a Bogachita?
Bogachita. Yeah, we used to play them in baseball.
Yeah.
Camp did.
You guys name your cities after cartoon characters, or what's going on?
We do have Kosciuszko, which is.
Well, I got a good one. I live 20 minutes from Guelph.
Guelph?
Oh, yeah, I know where Guelph is.
Guelph. Yeah, that's where our regular monthly meetup is in Guelph. It's Guelph. It sounds like a elf or a gnome or something.
Yeah. Honestly, the only reason I know about Guelph is because of hockey.
Oh, there you go.
A lot of hockey. Yeah. So.
Well, I'm sure I must have told you, Brett, why I'm the world's shittiest Canadian, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I agreed the moment.
Yes.
I was like, how can you? What? Not even. I'm from Michigan originally, so I was watching Red Wings and Blackhawks, and all that rivalry and Red Wings Maple Leafs rivalry. So, I started loving hockey at a very young age and just haven't let it go.
See, I never liked it ever. I was a figure skater. I never played hockey. Maybe that's why, because we always got the rink after the hockey practices.
Also,
and I mean, they would Zamboni it a couple of times, but it was always chewed up. And you have not howled in pain until you've done a face plant after you hit a rut on a toe pick. Let me tell you. Mm-hmm. And it never happens when you're trying to do something fancy. It's always when you're just skating around and then you hit a rut and you go flying because you toe pick.
Yep.
And it sucks. Let me tell you. Bobby says he's studying over there. And he's been in Prague for 4 years and he doesn't want to leave, but he's almost done with his studies.
Oh, that's too bad. Maybe he'll find a way to stay once he's done.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
Well,
Trump's president, so I can see why.
Yeah. It's like, it's a dumpster fire over there. I'm staying here.
Yeah, I don't know if so much
Working.
that Prague is that great, but we're just that bad now. It's like, no, this is fine. I just want
I'll
to stay
see.
here.
Now you got it. He likes hockey too. He says he went to see Israel versus the Czech veterans, and it ended 10-4. But it could have easily been 30-0 if the vets weren't trying to be nice.
Oh,
The vets were trying to be nice to the Israelis.
no, I buy that 100%. Yeah,
Like that's
yeah.
a Jewish conspiracy right there. Jewish hockey, huh?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Jewish hockey.
Hockey's pretty big in that region. I'm not surprised that they spanked the Israelis. That is not a surprise at all.
Yeah, and Beth, you wouldn't know this, Brett, but Beth was a competitive hockey player as well for like 20 years. Our
Really?
co-host, yeah, she's just in the chat. She said she started playing when she was 3.
Oh wow. I mean, I
Originally Buffalo. That's partly why.
yeah, that'll do it. I mean, I
Yeah.
played quite a bit as a kid. I was never, like they didn't put me into some youth hockey program or anything like that. But everybody played. We played all the time. You either play in the street if it's the summer, or as soon as it's the winter and the lake freezes over, we play in the lake, or we play in the frozen creeks. Where we played hockey all the time.
Yeah, it's ironic. My brother, like I said, he was 6 years younger than me. And when he was a kid, he did not want to play hockey because he thought it was too brutal. He was like, I don't want to get beat up. And so he avoided, he preferred soccer. And you'd think, oh, what a weenie kind of thing. But he grew up to be this like massive 6'3", 200 some pound monster of a dude that nobody would ever fuck with. But hockey was too brutal for him.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
We had a hockey team in Jackson, Mississippi, but then I think the owner went to jail for fraud. So that was the end of that.
Oops. Now, see, I liked playing floor hockey when I was in high school. I enjoyed that, but I hate cold. I hate cold and snow. So, and
Again, bad Canadian. What do you do?
I know. There's snow outside right now, and I've been bitching about it ever since I got here.
I've been doing nothing but complain that we don't have snow right now. I'm one of those.
What? I'll come to Colorado where I can wear a hoodie for the rest of the season by the sound of it. You can come here and play in the snow. How's that?
Oh, maybe. Or we'll hit that February cold snap and drop to -30 for a couple of weeks.
Yeah, I get enough of that here. Thanks.
Yeah.
Now, see, my stepsister lives in a place called Kirkland Lake, which is 8 hours straight north of me. They get like -50.
Oh, yeah. I believe that.
Yeah. And they've had like, I don't know, 5 feet of snow since, I don't know, mid-October or something stupid like
take
that.
me home.
Yeah, see, you would love that.
Really good.
Not me. Not me. You.
We all would be dead.
I would much rather be somewhere warm right now with a beach. That'd be nice. Yeah, I mean, I have to wear number 60 sunblock the minute I go outside, but I'd rather do that than a parka. Oh, shit. Well, we're getting up near the hour here, and since there's a few of us, why don't we take some time? Is there anything else anybody wants to add, or story you forgot, or anything before we start wrapping up? Sure.
Keep the Christ in Christmas. Come on.
Now, if you listened to last week's show, you would know there ain't no fucking Christ in Christmas. But, so why don't we everybody just plug their stuff? Ranger, why don't we start with you?
Okay. Hello, audience. I am the Atheist Ranger. I do have a YouTube channel. I've been lazy with it recently because of the holidays, but I'm hoping to, kick off here soon. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I do mostly non-religious stuff, but every once in a while I do get political. And that's it.
All right. And just quickly, I just noticed Bobby was asking, he said, wait, so are you guys atheists in an area where it's frowned upon? Well, not me. I'm in Canada, but the other folks here are all from various parts of the United States. And I know where Morgan is, it's rather frowned upon.
Oh, highly frowned upon. Highly. They would run me out of the state if they could.
Yes.
Just for the record, I live in Vermont, which, fun fact, is the most non-religious state in the U.S.
Yes, that's true.
The most religious in the state in the U.S.
Jealous.
No.
Opposite end of the spectrum.
Yeah.
And Zach, Atlanta's not too bad, but the rest of Georgia is a bit crazy.
It's a very mixed city, I'd say. But there's a local secular group I go to, and I think it's like a 15-mile drive, and I think I see like 20 different churches, and they're all different denominations, so they're all over the map here.
Okay. And how is it in Colorado, Brett?
Pretty bad in Colorado Springs, that's for sure. This is evangelical central. Yeah, I mean, I know, like I said, if you go into your Mississippis or your Alabamas or anything, yes, the state at large is much more religious than other places, but the population in Colorado Springs is terrifyingly Christian. And, keeping in mind, this is the home to, New Life Church and Focus on the Family, Dr. James Dobson. Yeah, this is the hub of evangelical American political ideology. And so, yes, very highly frowned upon here. But we have a local community that we built from the ground up, Pikes Peak Atheists, that is close to 1,000 members. We do a lot of charitable work in town and host a lot of events. So we're doing something for ourselves, at least.
This is good. So, and then he says a reborn again atheist. I guess you could sort of, well, Zach never was religious, but the rest of us, I guess you could say.
Born right the first time.
Yeah, born right the first time. Because he said, now I'm really jealous, because he says Czechoslovakia is the most atheist country after China. I think it's 97%.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
I was never religious. I was just a God believer.
Yep. So that's it's a detrimental start regardless. Yeah. But anyway, Brett, where can we find you and all of your things?
Oh, I thought we were doing Zach.
Well, okay. I'm going by the row that's in front of me. On you see the thumbnails in a different order than I do.
Yeah, I know, you're right. Okay, well, hi everyone. My name's Skeptic Bret. If you didn't catch that earlier, host of the Atheists on High podcast. We've been down for a little while now. We're kind of retooling. We've got some new graphics that we're updating. The show has still been going out live and being recorded, but we haven't updated the podcast in a while. But we're going to start boosting our YouTube presence here shortly as well. So there are a lot of things in the works. But aside from that, you can find us on Facebook, Atheists on High, on Twitter at Atheists on High or atheistsonhigh.com. And you can find the show through any podcatcher that you use. We're on Stitcher and iTunes and all that stuff.
Cool. And now, because Bobby keeps coming up with interesting stuff, so I hate to interrupt people, but he said that he's a former Orthodox Jew, qualified circumciser, i.e. Moyle. Ooh. And he's now an advocate against circumcision in a medical capacity. Good job. Yay. Mm-hmm. That's awesome.
Good.
Yep. So good to hear. Morgan, where can we find you? When you unmute yourself first.
Oh, yeah, that might be helpful.
I'm language expert.
We're a bit dumb. You can find me on the Bi Skeptical podcast with Trav Mamone, and you can catch that about every 2 weeks. Comes out on iTunes, Spreaker, and Stitcher. And we just released our Festivus episode, so be on the lookout for our airing of grievances. And also, you can catch me on Twitter at Mostring. That's MOSTRING. And you can find me on Facebook, Morgan L. Stringer.
Yeah. And Zach, where do we find you?
Well, the Zachrilege Cast is a weekly interview program where I bring on some of the best and brightest. Had everybody on here except for Atheist Ranger. Need to get my second Vermont guest. That'd be pretty awesome. But yeah, it's Zachrilege Cast. You can find it. I'm on YouTube. I'm on iTunes, all the podcatchers, and then at Zachrilege is the Twitter account. And then you can look for it on Facebook as well if you so choose. But thanks for having me on again, Deb. It's always fun.
You're very welcome. Absolutely. And Beth is out in the chat. She was away at a Christmas function earlier, so she couldn't make it. But you can find her on Twitter at Dune998, and that connects to her blog and all of the stuff that she does. And she's on Facebook under Beth A. Hambridge, just like she appears in the chat. So you can find her there. And you can find me also on Sunday mornings at 12:05 a.m. Eastern on Holy Crap, the Vlogcast, hosted by Shujin Tribble. And it's a panel. We talk about all kinds of different secular things. Although I missed it last week because I was at Christmas thing with my family. Because because my mother told us that we were actually going to do it for dinner, and then she told everyone else that it was for noon, and so we had to scramble last minute and go there for noon, and it's an hour drive, so yay. No, she wasn't trying to have it without us. She just screwed up. But yeah, and also before we go, I always like to talk about the Whitefields Educational Foundation. They provide counseling for people who are leaving or have left religion. And David Michael, who started the My Book of Mormon podcast, he started a fund there called the Taylor Scholarship, and that provides monies for people who would like counseling but aren't able to afford to pay for it. So there you go. We highly recommend them as if you feel like you want to give to a charity, they are a great group to give to. And you can find them at whitefieldseducational.org/My Book of Mormon podcast. And as I was talking about earlier, I'm going to be releasing a new show in the next week. So keep your ears and eyes peeled for that. I will tell you it's called Full Quranic. And if you have any interest in learning about the Quran and a little bit about Islam, might be the show for you. So keep your eyes open for that. I will be trying to promote that in the next this next week. I want to have it out before Christmas. So there's that. So, as I said at the top of the show, next week is Christmas Day, so we won't have a show. We'll be back in a couple of weeks. And so until then, I don't have my outro working because Voice Meter sucks right now. So I'm just going to call it a night. And Bobby, thanks for dropping in. That's awesome. He says he might even try to come earlier next time. That's great. And Nicola, I saw you in there earlier. Good to see you again. And everybody else who popped in the chat, Beth. And we'll see everybody next week.